Hey YouTube, it's Joe. I just bought a tripod. It's kind of, there we go. Oh my god, I have stability. I have a stable tripod. Well, I was going to say hello genderqueer chat because that's where I am these days. I'm actually on a channel, a YouTube collab channel called Genderqueer Chat. And I've been there for months and months and months. And as a result, I had not made a YouTube channel, a YouTube video for my personal channel in that long. And you know, I don't know, it's been a bad winter. It's been a really bad winter. I was really suffering from SAD, I think. Tired all the time, nothing to say. I didn't blog. Genderqueer Chat's a little bit different because there's usually there's a weekly topic. And yeah. I just realized you can see my Cheerios on my bed in the background. I don't like to admit that I eat Cheerios in bed, but I do. Some of my previous videos were, a lot of my previous videos were video responses to people in the atheist community. That seemed to be a big thing that I watched a lot this past year, were videos from atheists, specifically Loving Doubt and MST3K, also known as My View on the Matter. Those two were quite an influence on me. And I kind of always identified as pantheist for the last couple of years anyway. And then more recently, I got to listen to the Julia Sweeney video. It was an action audio book, but I watched it I listened to it on YouTube. It was called Letting Go of God, and it's about her journey to atheism from Catholicism. And I listened to that entire thing with complete bated breath because she really did tell the story of my life. Although I wasn't Catholic as long as she was. I was only Catholic in my stupid teens and, you know, grade school years. But I did struggle with a lot of the same questions that she did. Anyways, as things have evolved, I have been watching a lot of the Atheist Experience lately, which is another YouTube channel I've been really thrilled with. And I think I'm coming out. I think I'm coming out as an atheist. I'm completely stunned to be saying that. If you'd have known me at any time in my life, you know I'm a pretty intensely spiritual person. I'm always yip-yapping about something or other. To actually say out loud, I am an atheist. It feels a little bit weird, but it feels right. Maybe I'm agnostic, maybe not so much atheist, but agnostic. I guess you can be an agnostic atheist. Just like you can be a Gnostic atheist or an agnostic Christian. Anyway, I was about to change my YouTube religion, which currently states a Church of the Poison Mind, and I couldn't do it. I actually really like Church of the Poison Mind. That is my religion. For various reasons. Not the least of which is I like Culture Club circa 1983 or 4. But it's all making sense to me. And so I just wanted to make this video to touch on something that happened at work last week and today. I have a colleague, we were discussing atheism, and he asked me, he said he once had some Mormons or Johos or something come to the door, and they were posing some strong, like, religious, spiritual questions to him. One of which was, well, what about the birds in the sky and the fish in the sea? Like, what about them? How did they come to be? How did we come to be? How did life come to be on this planet? And Steve was a little bit stumped, and he didn't know how to answer that question. And as a result, I think that question has always rung in his head, as being the excuse for there being a God. Well, if we can't account for how things came to be, then a God must have created them. So my first answer to him was to quote what some of the atheists on the channels that I listened to would say. And one was, well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't actually matter who created the universe. And I know the creationists, the Christians who are all about your creator and worshiping your creator, there's no talking to them about this when you state flatly that you don't care who created the universe. And I often use the example of a birth mother versus an adoptive mother. So, you know, say some crackhead 15-year-old has a baby. She created the baby, so to speak, but the adoptive parents are the ones who are the parents, right? So who cares who created the baby? Who cares? It's not important in the grander scheme of things. Anyway, I went home on the weekend and I thought about it. And the more I thought about it, then I came up with a better analogy. And I said to Steve today, because I'm an internet junkie and a geek, I said, I love, love, love the internet. I love the internet. And let's say that in, 100 or 1,000 years from now or whatever, people have forgotten or they won't know who invented the internet, who created the internet. It's always been here. It's the sum of all knowledge at our fingertips, and it's a miraculous, amazing thing. And say I didn't know the answer to that question, who invented the internet or who created it. So I start making some shit up, that a virgin had a baby and the baby was crowned by some god, we'll just call it God, and that baby, we'll just call him Jesus, invented the internet. And you must not have premarital sex if you want to believe that this story is true and whatever, blah, blah, blah. I just started making up a bunch of crap. And I said, just because I don't know who invented the internet and I made up a bunch of shit about who did, doesn't mean I'm right. It doesn't mean anything at all. It's just some story that I'm making up. The fact is, it's possible there is an answer to that question, who created the universe. Maybe there is, or who created the internet. There is actually an answer to that question. But first off, a lot of people don't know the answer. It probably was a collaborative effort. And then it was an evolution. And I even said to Steve, imagine, so Google back in the day, 10 years ago, before, actually when Google, even before Google, like in the Yahoo days, or just Boolean searching on a library catalog, you had to actually put the plus sign, or you had to put the word and, or, not. You had to state, if you were looking for information, there were specific ways you had to state that in order for the search engine to be able to find the data you were looking for. And as it's evolved and computers have become smarter, now it almost reads your mind. You can type something in. What did I put the other day? Oh, there was a Swedish child born 2 or 3 years ago. Well, actually, maybe more closer to 4 years ago. The article came out 2 years ago when the child was 2, that the parents had named the child Pop and were refusing to divulge the gender. And they were raising Pop using the term Pop. So what Pop wants and what Pop thinks, and not what he thinks or what she thinks, right? So somebody today was talking about raising their child without a specified gender. And I said, oh yeah, what about that kid? I Googled kid gender, no gender, kid no gender, or something like that. Parents refuse to divulge gender. I forget the keywords I used, but I got the article right away within the first 2 hits. And that's a magical thing, and that's an evolution that's occurred in only 10 years' time. Imagine how that would look in 1,000 years to somebody who has no idea how a world could have possibly existed before the internet, or the world's information at your fingertips with search functionality that works. So that was my analogy for who cares about who created it. And making stuff up doesn't technically answer the question now, does it? Yeah, you don't have to. It's more important. Oh yeah, what I had said to Steve the first day though was that the onus falls on the person making the claim to prove the claim, not the other way around. So when Christians say things like, well, if God didn't create the world, then who did? First you have to prove to me that God created the world. And you can't really do that without proving there's a God. And on we go. Anyway, I just wanted to touch base with some of my happy viewers. I know I get a lot of subscribers as a result of being on Gender Crew Chat. So hello, new subscribers. And I will talk about gender, I'm sure, in some upcoming vids. I just hadn't updated in so long. I didn't have much to say. Thank God it's March. The days are much longer. Life's better than it was all winter. And I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Bye-bye.